Sweeties, how are you doing? Welcome to Naya. Same if this is your Cimnanya. If this is your first time of coming across this channel, sweetheart, kindly smash that subscribe button, turn your notification so you are notified each time I upload. And please give this video a thumb up. Shout out to every one of you. Thank you all so much for the support, the love you all shower me here. I am grateful to all my members. You all are super sweet. So today we'll be talking something very important, and it's about a video circulating around about a young black woman who was harassed. There is no volume to it because you know TikTok and all that, so you can just watch it and then let me break it down for you. A young black lady was just outside the lecture room, like you know, sitting quietly and not disturbing, not bothering anybody and all that. So the lecturer out of nowhere came out, or the professor came out and started bothering her, started harassing her, and wanting her to leave there and all that. And the young lady was like, I am not doing anything. I am not even bothering you. I am not even disturbing you, and all that. And guess what she did? She actually called the campus security on the young black lady for just no reason. And it is amazing how all these pop-colored people, especially Karens, always want to be in black people's business or want to be in people's business in general for no just reason. I mean, somebody that was not even bothering you and all that. And so when the campus security came and they were like, ma'am, there is nothing wrong with her sitting here and she can sit here. I mean, this is not a quiet zone or something. And also there is a table for the young lady. Like, you know, if people were not meant to be there, there wouldn't have been a table there. You go what I am saying. But because she is a black person, for that reason, she wanted to harass her. And a very big shout out to the young white dude who actually came out also to tell the lecturer to back off, that she is, I mean, constituting nuisance and all that. And the security also took side with the young black lady. And eventually, like, you know, the whole thing, like, you know, cooled down and all that. And people are calling out that professor out because, like, you know, I think their family, they have this history of something like spy and all that. And then she is a history lecturer too. All right, I'm just gonna roll this clip. We'll come back to talk about it. Let me know what you all think in the comments. So straight up, let's get it.
This college professor harassing a black student, one, reminds us that everybody who teaches is biased, and often that bias is based on hiding your crazy family history. So this American history professor, Susan Hansen, is an associate professor at University of Dallas, and she has an office with a door, and this black student had a class canceled and wanted to listen to the lecture in a mixed-use space where sound is allowed. Susan Hansen harassed them and called the university cops, who told her they can't do anything because she's allowed, and kept this chaos going until a white male student told her to stop. And she did. Now, Susan Hansen teaches a number of intro-level courses like American history. So probably a lot of students have to take her class as a requirement. I'm guessing this is a big class with a lot of TAs. So hopefully those students don't have to spend too much time with her, because Susan Hansen's publications are often sponsored by the Witherspoon Institute, which is a conservative think tank. She's published great works. Students' publications include this one about Henry Adams and America being another Rome. This one, which talks about how the Gettysburg Address is really about religion. And then there's these great remarks.
The Greco-Roman Judeo-Christian tradition that shaped the form of national identity that grew up on this soil. Then the cultural scorched earth policy of the radical left might already have exterminated all patriotism in the hearts and minds of the young.
Does that sound like cancel culture? Well, it should, because she's used that phrase. One of her colleagues used China virus in a syllabus, and she stood up for him as the chair and made sure to remind everyone academic freedom is gone. Can't just be straight up racist in your syllabi anymore. And clearly her harassment of this student is racially motivated. If this woman was white, she wouldn't have done anything. And clearly because he is white and she finally listens to him. But the thing I find crazy is that this woman spending all this time reshaping American history as a white nationalist history when her father was one of the longest standing spies for the Soviet Union the United States ever had. Yep, her father is Robert Hansen, master of the double life. He raised his 6 kids religious and conservative Catholic. They were supporters of Opus Dei. And here is a great ode to Susan Hansen, American history professor at her high school, Oakcrest. While at the same time, starting in 1979 and all the way through 1991, he was spying for the Soviet Union. And he didn't accidentally get into this. He went to the Soviet Union to offer to spy. He also allowed his friends to secretly watch him with his wife at night, you know. In other words, this guy was pretending to be super religious while doing all kinds of very unethical things. I mean, like, he is an FBI agent for us and then spying for the Soviet Union. You could go look at the FBI website about him. This is my issue with conservatives. She is reshaping history, missing out on all swaths of history, partly to make up for the fact that her family has a cuckoo history. Her father spied for decades, and now she's over here harassing kids. I'd like to leave you with this response somebody made to that terrible speech about American white nationalism she gave. And he said that just because you want to talk about the religious institutions of our nation, you should remember piety does not entail forgetfulness. And I think conservatism basically does that, and racism.
This professor at the University of Dallas was harassing a black student who was listening to a lecture quietly outside of her office in a common area where tons of other people are talking. I'm going to show you the video, but stick around afterwards because then we're going to talk about her.
You can do this all day. And I'll turn it up to 100.
Reaction. The next step is to strategize. Think about a plan to solve the problem. Create a conceptual plan. To calculate delta H reaction from standard enthalpies of formation, subtract the Heat's information of the reactants multiplied by their stoichiometric coefficient from the Heat's information of the products multiplied by their stoichiometric coefficient. Follow the conceptual plan to solve the problem. The standard enthalpies of formation for each reactant and product are shown here. Remember that the standard enthalpy of formation of pure elements in their standard state is 0. Calculate delta H reaction by substituting these values into the equation. Go ahead and try that now. What is delta H reaction?
Now, the young woman in this video is getting a lot of flack from people on the internet being like, oh, why didn't you just put the headphones in? But honestly, that's beside the point. If she's sitting there quietly listening to a lecture, then she's fine. I don't know if you've not been to college, but that's just what you do. When you have time, you sit down and you just do some homework. And if they're not designated quiet zones or study zones, then she's fine. She pays them thousands of dollars to be there. But anyway, back to her. Yeah, well, Dr. Susan Hansen, you were pretty easy to find. Oh, but get this. Yep, she teaches British and American history. She is an American history professor in Texas. I think you know where this is going.
We need many different units in the fight for American culture. We desperately need the valiant news sources that warn us daily, hourly, of the signs of destruction all around us, the radicalization of the Department of Justice and the targeting of patriotic Americans, the lunacy of our quote-unquote medical health professions under the craze of transgenderism, the steady drumbeat of cancel culture against anyone who speaks the blandest common sense like Jordan Peterson.
And after a little digging, you wouldn't be surprised to find out that Peterson, the man she was talking about in that speech, is someone who's a clinical psychologist, basically a pseudoscientist who uses pseudo-facts to promote white nationalism. But let's face it, we could tell that this was actually about the race of the young woman when her phone was shaking as she was recording her. All right, let's go ahead and make one thing clear. She was harassing the student. This was after this woman had called security, and security had told the girl that she was doing nothing wrong. This professor pulled out her phone after security left because she was trying to intimidate her and try to provoke her so that she could show the school this video and get the girl in trouble. And let's also clear up the fact that the girl had her class canceled last minute, and so she had 45 minutes to kill. That's not enough time to go back to your dorm room, and she had forgotten her headphones. So she sat there and was productive for 45 minutes in between classes. You can even hear in the beginning of the video how quiet the actual sound was. She only turned it up because this woman wouldn't leave her alone. You can literally see in this video that there's a whole common area right here, and you can hear other students talking and having normal conversations. I mean, listen to this part in the video. You can clearly hear someone even talking very loudly far away.
Products multiplied by their stoichiometric coefficient. Follow the conceptual plan to solve.
So why didn't she tell those people to be quiet if it was about the noise and disrupting her work? Alright, since you clearly didn't have your listening ears on, in the beginning of the video, she turns it up full blast because the woman had not stopped harassing her. This was after security called and was told that the girl was doing nothing wrong. This was after the woman had started recording her several times, after the woman was trying to secretly record her through her office window. You know what? I'm just going to let Corey tell you.
Video, the professor came, went to her office, closed the door, opened the door, and then she was like, "Hi, I have office hours soon, and I can hear your video." And I was like, "Oh, my bad, I'll turn it down." Then, like, maybe 10 minutes later, she's like, "Yeah, mind you, not one student came to them office hours the whole time. Like, all that for no reason." Anyway, she's like, "Yeah, I can still hear your video. Do you have headphones, or can you just leave?" And I was like, "Whoa, nah." So I was like, "No, I don't have headphones, and I'm not gonna leave." And after that, it took a whole turn because you could tell nobody ever tells her no. And she started acting out of character and yelling. She was like putting her fingers in my face. She was like, "I despise students like you." And I was like, "What, baby girl? Students like who? Students like who?" Anyway, I kind of just sat there until she started recording me from the inside of her office. Like, the door was open, and then like she was in the inside trying to like record like this, and I'm like, "Can you please stop recording me?" She's like, "Nah." I just literally kept watching my video, and then she's like, "Yeah, I've called campus security, so they'll be up here soon." I'm just like, okay. I literally was just like, okay, because I know I wasn't doing anything wrong. I wasn't disrupting anybody. I wasn't playing loud music. I wasn't playing derogatory videos like cursing and all that. It was literally a lecture video.
And the security told the professor that she was allowed to do that because in college campuses, that is a very common thing for people to do. That's why they have common areas. That's why they had tables and chairs set up in that area. The only places where you can't listen to things out loud are in designated study zones or quiet zones. This isn't like someone blasting music on the bus. So we finally have answers to this question, and I'm going to let Corey tell y'all herself.
The gentleman in the video, he was such a sweetheart, and he told her to go back in her office, and she did. Like, she listened to him. And then he sat with me, asked me if I was okay, asked me did I want to take a walk. And in the midst of all that, I asked him, "Was I bothering you? Like, was I a distraction to you?" He told me that he couldn't hear my video. He told me that he heard a video going, but he couldn't hear the contents of the video. And I rest my case.
So yes, I am happy to report that this was one of the good guys. It seems pretty obvious to me, and especially after Corey uploaded some answers to people's questions, that, yeah, this woman was just on a power trip. She didn't like being told no. This girl was literally bothering no one. This guy sitting at this table right here couldn't even really hear her video, and he wasn't bothered at all. And when Susan Hansen here didn't get her way, she started secretly recording this girl who was just trying to freaking study. I kind of hope we find this guy so that we can all show him some TikTok love. Sorry, I had to restart this video like 5 times. But anyway, here's the long-awaited part 2, in which I prove that this woman was racially motivated when she harassed a black student studying outside of her office. Susan Hansen and her whole family are openly part of Opus Dei, which is essentially a cult for Catholics. And while many of the students at UD think that she is a nun, what she actually is something called a numerary. They remain celibate and they get secular jobs, where they are expected to infiltrate society and impose their political views. And these numeraries are expected to practice self-mortification, where essentially they wear a spiked chain around their body under their clothes at all times. Most of them usually wear something around their upper thigh. They use aggressive recruiting practices and they brainwash new recruits, including the use of psychedelic drugs on teenagers. Yeah, we're coming in strong here. Next, I would like to take you back to 2020. In the wake of George Floyd, a bunch of them wanted to start a Student Leaders for Racial Justice group. And it would be open to anybody, while also creating a safe zone or space for people of color to come together. But apparently 13 faculty members signed a statement saying that the club could polarize campus. Yeah, in this statement, they essentially said, well, then we're just, organizing people by color, and that's wrong. People are more complex than that. Well, somebody in the faculty leaked this statement, and guess who was literally the first name on the list? People suspect that she actually wrote it. Yes, Susan Hansen. Then she turns the whole thing around and said that the people were trying to use media to bully and harass the professors. And then said the mere idea of a safe zone for BIPOCs would be implying that that means their campus isn't safe. And one of these professors had the nerve to say, oh, this would impose burdens on people because they would be forced to serve as ambassadors for their race. Yeah, that's kind of the job. But a mere 2 months earlier, the campus was steeped in a racial controversy when 4 students dressed up as Trump's wall for Halloween, with the caption, Jose. And guess who was real quick to defend this? She basically said because a person of color was in on the costume, then it was fine. Yeah, except the student that she was talking about playing Jose was a little Spanish, a quarter Italian, and the rest Native American. So he was not even Mexican. But brown is brown, close enough, right? Now these students did get punished by the university, but not for the racism. No, it was for the fact they were at a party not wearing masks and underage drinking. And because these school administrators have no backbone, she took that as an opportunity. She essentially tried to boil the issue down to being woke equals afraid of COVID-19. Which brings us to the racist dessert of the meal I am making of this woman, in which she wrote a full article in 2021 bashing her employers for not letting the professors call COVID-19 the China virus. You see, in this article she wrote, she was defending a professor who was getting a lot of heat because he had a day on his syllabus called China virus. And while this whole article centers around another professor and the school, she even admits that the syllabus was a photocopy of her own. She had done it first. She even admits that she has been accused of racism so much that it is a common fact. But she likes to push off the blame, saying it's because she appeared on Fox News once. She slams the student newspaper for writing articles on diversity almost every issue, blaming Black Lives Matter and its support for the LGBTQ gender ideology. And while she points out that the school has diversity officials, committees, and clubs, like the one she fought against, there are way too many quotations in this paragraph to believe that she looks at this with any sort of positivity or sincerity. In fact, she flat out criticizes the university for their diversity. This woman is legitimately a danger to society. So don't you dare try to sit there and tell me that this wasn't racially motivated. I sat through hours of this woman's lectures today. Her entire career in academia is based on coded eugenics, and her pursuit of higher education was solely because of the Opus Dei ideology, which morphed to engulf MAGA white nationalism. That higher education that was bought and paid for by Putin and her father's treason.
So this is all I got from the video, and shout out to the young man who actually stood up for her. And I don't understand why some certain things are happening and why some people are just mean, because if you are not a mean person, why would you be bothering somebody that is not bothering you? And why was she so quick to call the campus security? I mean, you already know what is going on when a colored person tries to call the cops or the security on Black people, because they feel like, yeah, as a colored person, I always have that edge over them and all that. I mean, if it were illegal or not, if it were not something like, why was there a table there where that young lady sat? I mean, she was not disturbing, she was not bothering, she was not doing anything. But one thing with a Karen would always show up anytime to to tell you that I am a Karen and all that. But that really sucks. I mean, you all can stop being a Karen, because how do you even wake up to start bothering somebody that is not bothering you and start looking for a way to make the person's life quite hard, or start looking for a way to call the security on the person for no just reason? I mean, we all can do better. And just looking at adults, most especially pop-colored adults, do things like this is sometimes I am like, wait, do they really think well? Because somebody that doesn't think well that would do things like this. And like I said before, a massive shout out to the young white dude who actually came out to also, like, you know, support the black woman, the black lady, and tell the lecturer to, like, you know, back off and all that. I mean, we need more people like this, because I don't know why people wake up to, like, you know, be mean and all the time, and they think that is a way of life. You see, that this thing they always do, they always want to be in people's businesses for no just reason, you know, and that really sucks. I mean, you all can get a life and do better. So this is all I got. See you all in my next video. Bye for now.